Another video about legato and the technique needed to make it work. When I think of legato, true seamless velvet legato, I often think of Dmitry Khorosovsky's famous performance of Io Morrò from Verdi's Don Carlo when he won the Cardiff Singer of the World. If you've never seen it, go and watch. I'm not allowed to show it on my YouTube channel because of copyright reasons. The line just flows as though he's pouring, as if he's pouring a single ribbon of sound from somewhere deep inside him, unbroken, unforced. How is that possible? It's not just talent, it's the way he used breath and support. A legato phrase depends on the muscularity of the breath release. We don't simply let the air fall out, we guide it. We slowly and evenly with an active but never tense engagement of the support system. At the same time, we keep the larynx low but floated, not jammed down, but held in a stable, balanced position so the resonance stays consistent from the first note to the last. Carl Stau, in his amazing bodywork essays, if you don't know who Carl Stau is, Google him, read his work, it's absolutely fantastic. Developed a system that it was actually people who came after him gave it the term the double glide, but he described the mechanism. On inhalation, the ribs move outward while the diaphragm moves downwards. On singing out the breath, the ribs glide back in whilst the diaphragm glides upwards. Ribs, diaphragm. These two movements are in opposition, one horizontal, one vertical, and together they create a smooth, controlled flow of breath. It is this two-directional motion that makes the legato line possible. The ribs aren't collapsing suddenly. The diaphragm isn't shooting up uncontrolled. They're both gliding slowly, meeting in the middle to feed the voice with exactly the breath it needs. And remember, all diaphragmatic work must be done in concord with laryngeal work. As the muscles of the breath control become more flexible and more secure, not only in getting breath out of the body, but also in the supporting mechanism, anchoring mechanism of the larynx. These two aspects must work and be trained together. Only then can we achieve the optimal throat position for best resonance and register alignment with a free-flowing breath. If you separate the two, if you work on the breath without considering the laryngeal position or vice versa, then this balance is lost. This is why my teacher, David L. Jones, always says the support must never be stiff, or the voice will be stiff. Breath control is active, but it is never rigid. Just going to take a little time out to make a quick appeal. If you're enjoying these videos and you want to support the channel, it would mean so much to me if you could click on the link down below and buy me a coffee. It's really quick, it's really easy, it's very safe, and it really helps me pay my bills while I'm making these videos and keep the lights on and feed the family and everything. But of course, you don't have to. If you could just like and subscribe to the video, leave a comment, that's wonderful as well. Our channel is growing amazing. Monday videos for teaching, Friday videos for opera. We're growing, we're building a community. Find me on Facebook. I cannot believe the messages I get of support, and I'm so grateful because I absolutely love, with a passion, the great noble art of opera singing. So let's get back to the video. I want you to think of your support mechanism like a kite. A kite needs the air pushing upwards to lift it into the air. That's the breath moving out to feed the tone. But if there were no downward force from the strings in your hand holding the kite, then the kite would simply fly away uncontrolled. That downward force is your engagement, your support. The upward and the downward forces are both diaphragmatic support, but also with this element of laryngeal control. And where the breath's release and the muscular resistance work together, it's like the kite hovering and dancing freely in the air. It vibrates in the space between these two energies, these two forces. That's exactly where the voice will vibrate at its best. And here's something I find rather beautiful. In all art, the tension is where the magic happens. Two opposing forces pulling against each other, yet finding a harmonious agreement. And that is, in essence, the creative process. So when we practice supporting a legato line, we're not just solving a technical puzzle. we're also touching something spiritual, balancing the physical act of breath and muscles control with the inner act of expression and intention. Let's try a few exercises so you can feel this double glide in your own body. Panting exercise, finding the movement. Stand or sit tall with your hands on your lower ribs. Pant like a happy dog. Quick, shallow breaths, but you're keeping your shoulders down. The in-breath, of course, can lift the shoulders a little bit, but you're feeling how the ribs move in and out on inhale. So you're panting with a loose diaphragm and your ribs. Even in fast breaths, the ribs will move freely. Now slow the panting and exaggerating the rib movement so you can feel it more clearly. Feel how the ribs are going up and down. Let's add some diaphragmatic awareness. Keep one hand on your ribs and the other hand on your upper belly. Pant again and notice that on inhalation, the belly moves slightly out, the diaphragm down. Yeah. On exhalation, and on exhalation, it moves in, diaphragm up. That's the double glide. That's the ribs and the diaphragm moving in opposite directions. Ribs, diaphragm. Now let's slow to legato speed. Start with fast panting, find the movement. Now move it so it feels like gentle short waves. I want you to inhale for 4 short pants and exhale for 4 short pants, keeping both movements controlled. Now put an S in there. Do you feel this double glide? Careful you don't hyperventilate. You feel this double glide, you feel the diaphragm going up as you're doing the S and the ribs going in. Now do a voiced ah. Ah. Keep your podjaw nice and high. Ah. Ah. I'm feeling my ribs go up and down on inhalation and exhalation, and feel my diaphragm go down and up, and I'm feeling them together. Do a 5-note scale. Ah. Ah. I can feel both these aspects, the ribs and the diaphragm, moving in beautiful coordination. I can feel the gentleness of the in-breath, the feeling of lovely open yawn, the surprise breath of 1,000,000 pounds. Yeah, I can feel my diaphragm gently going down. A lot of teachers teach you to have a static diaphragm on inhalation. That's because they don't want you to push your tummy out. Of course, the diaphragm will move down, and there can be some abdominal movement outwards on inhalation. But if your teacher is telling you that they don't want you to do that, that's because they've figured, if they're a proper teacher, that you're going on inhalation and they want to lose that act, all right? Ultimately, when the technique works beautifully, sometimes the ribs, the abdominal walls will go out on inhalation, and sometimes they won't. It depends on how much time and how you're breathing. But ultimately, you have to remember the ribs expand down and backwards at the back, and the diaphragm moves down and backwards more at the back. And then that double glide happens. And that double glide is one of the most beautiful things to experience. The freedom, the non-rigidity of the support mechanism. We often think that we have to be really strong to support, but what we really want is flexibility. And if you want to be able to sing like Dimitri in that way, in that beautiful legato, if you want to have this perfect coordination whilst anchoring the larynx, you have to let go of any tension. And in that freedom of that balance, those two opposing forces, that's where you can create art. That's when, again, as I've said, you start to use your voice as a paintbrush, sculpturing phrases. Ah, the feeling of the movement of the diaphragm rising and letting the body expel air, the openness of the ribs and the coming together, that beautiful balletic movement. Always talk to your singing teacher about these concepts. If you want to talk to me about it, as I said, get in touch. If you want to send me a video to evaluate your singing without any obligations, get in touch. If you want to work with me as your teacher, I've got a few places left. Get in touch. Thanks so much for sticking around. Love that you're here. See you in the next video.